The quiet before the storm. It was an ordinary morning on Earth. The sun rose over the planet, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Cities stirred to life as people went about their usual routines. There was no sign of the storm that was coming. No indication that the very existence of humanity was about to be challenged by an alien force. The world had been at peace for decades, and Earth had earned a reputation as a peaceful planet, a species known for diplomacy. For striving to keep the peace on Earth, peace was seen as the highest virtue. Humans had built alliances across the stars, slowly integrating into the galactic community with the hope of creating a harmonious future. Their technology, while advanced, had never been used for war. It was their belief that diplomacy, understanding, and compassion were the true strengths of any society. Humans had become the so-called peacekeepers of the galaxy, sending out ambassadors and diplomats to maintain relations with every species they encountered. However, not everyone saw it this way. To some, Earth's peaceful nature was seen as weakness. There were those in the galaxy who grew tired of Earth's insistence on non-violence. Alien races, both old and new, began to view the humans as naive, incapable of true strength. They saw the Earth's refusal to wield its power as an opportunity to push for more control, to exert their dominance in ways that Earth could not resist. The galaxy, once a peaceful community, had begun to fracture. In a secluded room deep beneath Earth's surface, the leaders of the planet were busy preparing for what they hoped would be an ordinary day of diplomacy. The Galactic Council had called for a meeting, a simple discussion about trade agreements and peaceful coexistence. Earth had always believed that they were playing their part in the galaxy, keeping the peace wherever they went. They thought that their role as mediators would ensure stability not just for Earth, but for everyone across the stars. The Council will listen to us, President Harris said, his voice steady, though there was an edge of uncertainty in his words. He was seated at the head of the table in the command center, surrounded by his closest advisors. We've done our part for years. We've shown the galaxy that we're not just here to survive, we're here to help. Dr. Rachel Winters, Earth's top diplomat and the primary ambassador to the Galactic Council, glanced over the data on her screen. She adjusted her glasses and looked up at the room. Our negotiations have always been peaceful, but I feel something shifting. There's a tension in the air. The other members of the council, they are growing restless. President Harris furrowed his brow. They've always been critical of our methods, but that's nothing new. If anything, we've earned their respect. But Dr. Winters wasn't convinced. Respect is one thing, Mr. President, but there's something more. A new species has joined the council and their intentions are not as clear. I'm concerned that their actions may lead to a push against our peaceful stance. The galaxy is changing, and I fear that Earth's peaceful ideals may no longer have a place in the future. The room went quiet. President Harris shifted in his chair, uncomfortable with the uncertainty hanging in the air. He had always believed that Earth's peacefulness was its greatest strength. But Dr. Winters had a point. Earth's peaceful existence in the galaxy had not gone unnoticed, and not all the galactic members were as understanding. At that very moment, deep within the council chambers of the galaxy, a meeting was taking place that would forever change the course of human history. The Council of Species, an assembly of the galaxy's most powerful races, was convening for an important vote, and on this day, Earth's role as a peacekeeper would be put to the test. The room was filled with alien diplomats, representatives of various species, some humanoid, others not. Among them sat Zorath, the leader of the Xanth species, an imposing, tall figure with glowing red eyes. The Xanth were a race of warriors, their people known throughout the galaxy for their ruthless efficiency and strength. They believed in dominance, power, and control. To them, peace was merely a tool to manipulate others. The humans are weak, Zorath said, his voice booming and clear, echoing in the council chamber. They have refused to take part in the natural order of things. The galaxy is a place of power. Peacekeepers, they are a distraction. The time has come for them to be removed from the council. They serve no purpose. The room was divided. Some races agreed with Zorath's assessment, believing that Earth's refusal to defend itself was a sign of weakness. Others, however, believed in maintaining peace and diplomacy, and they rallied behind Earth. But it was clear that the balance was tipping. The vote was called for. The decision was swift. The majority of the council voted to expel Earth from the Galactic Council, deeming their peaceful stance a liability. Earth, once seen as a beacon of hope, was now an outcast. Back on Earth, the news arrived like a slap in the face. President Harris and his advisors stared at the screen in disbelief. They can't do this, Harris said under his breath. We were the ones who kept the peace for them. We showed them how to live in harmony. Dr. Winters' hands shook as she processed the transmission. This is more than just politics. This is a challenge. The galaxy is sending a message They are no longer willing to let us be the Peacekeepers, they want us to be something else. The room fell silent as the implications of the Council's decision sank in. Earth had been stripped of its role as a peacekeeper. The galaxy, it seemed, had decided that humanity was no longer fit for that title. And as the news spread, people across Earth felt the weight of the decision. Some were angry, others fearful. The peaceful existence they had known was coming to an end, and it was clear that Earth would have to defend itself, whether it was ready or not. The countdown to war had begun. Earth had been patient for far too long, but the galaxy had underestimated humanity's resolve. It had underestimated Earth's true nature, and now, humanity was no longer bound by the chains of diplomacy. Earth would show the galaxy that it was more than a peaceful species. It was a species that would fight to survive, and when the time came, Earth would remind the galaxy of a truth they had forgotten. Humans were not peacekeepers. They were patient killers. Asterisk, the first clash day the Galactic Council voted to expel Earth was only the beginning. The ripple effects of that decision spread quickly, igniting a wave of panic, anger, and confusion across the planet. The news reached every corner of Earth. The species that had been the cornerstone of peacekeeping in the galaxy was now an outcast, a pariah. Seen as weak and useless by the very races they had once helped, people flooded the streets in protest. Demonstrations broke out in every major city as citizens demanded to know why Earth was being rejected, but the government, still in shock from the vote, had no answers. They had always believed that peace would be their strength. Now, that strength had been stripped away, and Earth was faced with an uncertain future. In the command center, President Harris stood in front of a massive holographic display, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. The alien fleets were already mobilizing. The vote wasn't just a political blow, it was a declaration of war. The galaxy had decided that humanity no longer had a place in the intergalactic community, and they had responded by preparing for the inevitable conflict. "We knew this was coming," General Anderson said, his voice heavy with grim determination. "The question is, what do we do now?" President Harris looked out the window, his eyes distant. We fight because we have no other choice." The room fell silent. Earth had always been peaceful, but peace, as the galaxy had just shown, was not enough to protect them. Humanity was about to face its first real war in centuries, and the first shots had already been fired. The unexpected move. While the protests continued on Earth, there was another movement taking place, quiet, hidden from the eyes of the public. In secret military bunkers beneath the surface of Earth, humanity's most advanced weapon was being prepared. It was something that had been built for just such a moment. A weapon designed not to protect but to destroy. For years, the weapon had been kept a secret, only known to the highest ranks of military command. It was humanity's final card, a weapon so powerful that it could change the course of the galaxy itself. The technology was ancient, harvested from forgotten corners of the universe, and now it was ready to be used. "Activate the weapon," General Anderson ordered, his voice steady but filled with urgency. "We can't wait any longer." The underground facility was filled with the hum of machinery as engineers and soldiers worked in unison to power up the weapon. This was not a weapon designed for defense. It was a weapon of retribution, one that would show the galaxy just how wrong they were about humanity. As the weapon powered up, a strange energy began to fill the room, its power surging like a living thing. The core of the machine pulsed with energy, drawing power from Earth's very core. The engineers watched in awe as the machine's systems came online. It was ready, but as the weapon powered up, another chilling reality began to dawn on the team. The galaxy had always thought Earth was weak, that their peaceful ways meant they were harmless. But what if Earth was not weak at all? What if humanity had been holding back for centuries, waiting for the right moment to unleash their true power? The alien response back in the Galactic Council, Zorith, the leader of the Xan species, had already seen the first signs that Earth was not going to accept their fate quietly. He had expected humanity to retreat, to beg for mercy, but that was not happening. Instead, Earth was doing something far more dangerous. They were preparing for war. Zorith turned to his council, his red eyes burning with fury. "We warned them," he growled. "They should have known their place. Now they will feel the consequences of their arrogance." The Xanth, a race known for their ruthless nature, were already preparing their fleet for a full assault on Earth. They would destroy any resistance, wipe out the last remnants of humanity's power, and take control of the planet. But there was a problem. The Xanth had underestimated Earth's ability to fight back. They thought humanity was a peaceful race, timid, too fragile to stand up for itself. But now they were realizing that Earth had a weapon, a power that could turn the tide of the war in an instant. As Zorith's fleet advanced toward Earth, the first waves of battle began to unfold. The alien ships moved swiftly, their massive forms slicing through space like predators closing in on their prey. But this time, Earth wasn't retreating. It's time, President Harris said, his voice filled with determination. Show the galaxy what happens when you push humanity too far. The first strike there was thick with tension as Earth's forces gathered in orbit. The alien fleet was closing in, and the world watched in fear. But beneath the surface, in the hidden military bases, Earth's final weapon was ready. The first strike would come from humanity's most powerful weapon. A weapon designed not just to defend but to destroy. The weapon fired. A beam of pure energy shot into the sky. Faster than the eye could see, the alien fleet, once so confident in their dominance, was struck by the full force of Earth's power. The first ship was obliterated in an instant, its hull disintegrating as the beam made contact. The blast was so intense that it sent shockwaves through space, rippling out from Earth's surface. The alien fleet, stunned by the unexpected attack, struggled to regroup. Zorith watched in disbelief as Earth's weapon fired again, tearing through his fleet. It was clear now, Earth was not just defending itself, it was sending a message to the entire galaxy. Humans are not the peacekeepers, Zorith muttered, his anger boiling over. They are killers, and we have made a terrible mistake. The battle escalated. The first blast from Earth's secret weapon had sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. But what followed was something that neither the Xanth nor the galaxy had anticipated. Earth was not backing down. The alien fleet, disoriented by the destructive power of Earth's unknown weapon, tried to regroup. They had always thought of humans as a harmless species, incapable of fighting back with force. They believed that Earth would be a pushover, a planet that had no real means to defend itself. The galaxy's leaders had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now they were going to pay the price. Prepare for impact. The alien commander's voice echoed throughout the warship as its massive engines roared to life. But it was too late. Earth's counterattack came quickly. The massive beam from Earth's weapon had destroyed the first alien ship, but that was only the beginning. The hidden weapon, now fully activated, unleashed a barrage of energy, striking at the heart of the alien fleet. It wasn't just a single weapon anymore, it was a full assault. Earth had become a force of nature, and the galaxy was beginning to see just how deadly humanity could be when cornered. The alien ships, once brimming with confidence, were falling one by one. Some exploded into fireballs, while others broke apart in the vacuum of space, their destruction spreading like a deadly ripple. But the Xanth fleet wasn't just retreating. They were regrouping, their arrogance still alive despite the overwhelming force humanity had just unleashed. They have no idea what they've just awakened, Zorith muttered as his ship's systems struggled to keep up with the sudden shift. In the battle, his mind raced, but he couldn't hide the flicker of doubt in his eyes. But the galaxy had already begun to turn its attention to the chaos unfolding. News of the first major defeat against the alien invaders spread fast. Across the stars, planets were watching as Earth's military showed no signs of backing down. The weapon they had unleashed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The hidden cost truth, however, was darker than anyone could have imagined. Earth's powerful weapon, while effective, came with a cost. As the weapon fired again and again, the strain on Earth's energy systems grew. The weapon's power wasn't limitless, and the more it was used, the greater the risk of catastrophic failure. In the control room beneath Earth's surface, General Anderson and his team observed the weapon's output with growing concern. The energy levels were reaching critical levels, and they were running out of time. If we keep firing at this rate, we risk burning out the core, one of the engineers said. Panic in their voice, we'll lose the weapon and maybe everything else with it. General Anderson stood over the console, watching the readings closely. How long do we have? He asked, his voice cold and calculated. Maybe an hour at best, the engineer replied. After that, we'll have no power left. The weight of the decision pressed down on Anderson. He knew that Earth couldn't stop the war now, not with the weapon's power fading, but they had to keep fighting for humanity's survival. They could not let the galaxy see Earth as weak again. We need to make this count, Anderson said, a hard resolve in his voice. One final push. The weapon stays online until we break their fleet. If it burns out, so be it. The tipping point Xanth fleet, now enraged and desperate, launched a full-scale attack. But they were unprepared for Earth's next move. With the weapon's remaining power, Earth's military unleashed its final wave of destruction. The air seemed to crackle with energy as Earth's forces launched the last barrage of attacks, targeting the remaining alien warships. For the first time, the alien fleet seemed to hesitate. Their superior firepower faltered under the onslaught of Earth's relentless push. Zorith, watching the destruction from his command ship, could no longer deny the truth. Earth was a threat, one they could not control. We underestimated them, Zorith growled. Slamming his fist on the control panel, his fleet was unraveling, and he knew the situation was slipping from his grasp, but it's not over. We can still destroy them, but as the alien fleet regrouped, the reality set in. Earth had already won the battle whether the aliens wanted to admit it or not. The galaxy's perception of humanity was changing before their eyes. No longer were they the peacekeepers of the galaxy, meekly trying to maintain order. Now, the galaxy saw them for what they truly were, patient killers waiting for the right moment to strike. And when they did, it was with an unstoppable force. As the final alien ships fell, the remaining invaders scrambled to flee, but their attempts were futile. Earth's forces had overwhelmed them, and the survivors were few. The final blow was struck, and the battlefield fell silent. The galaxy watched back across the stars. The galaxy was in shock. Earth had defeated the invaders. But that wasn't the most surprising part. What truly shook the galaxy was how Earth had done it. They didn't beg, they didn't retreat, they didn't beg for mercy. They waited, they planned, they struck with precision, and they shattered the alien fleet with a force no one thought possible. And the galaxy was beginning to understand humans were not peacekeepers, they were patient killers. The unseen consequenced victory was swift, brutal, and decisive. Earth's hidden weapon had crippled the alien fleet, sending shockwaves across the galaxy. In the days following the battle, Earth's streets, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now echoed with a strange sense of triumph. Humanity had proven its might. The message had been sent. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again. But even as Earth celebrated, the consequences of their actions began to unfold in unexpected ways. We've won the battle. But we haven't won the war, General Anderson said, his voice low as he stared out at the horizon. His military command center had become a war room. The planet's most powerful minds working together to figure out what came next. The alien fleet may have been defeated, but this isn't over. Dr. Rachel Winters, who had been deeply involved in the diplomatic efforts to establish peaceful relations with the galaxy, stood beside him, her brow furrowed. We've made enemies. The rest of the galaxy is watching us. And they are not pleased with what we've done. Indeed, the ripple effect from Earth's brutal victory had been felt far beyond the alien races they had just defeated. The Galactic Council, which had once seen Earth as nothing more than a peaceful participant, now viewed humanity with fear and suspicion. The message was clear: Earth was no longer just a peacekeeper. It was a power in its own right. The silent guardians, a new voice emerged in the wake of Earth's victory, one that had remained hidden until now, across the galaxy in the farthest reaches of space. The Guardians of the Nexus, a secretive group of ancient beings who had watched over the galaxy for millennia, began to stir. They had observed Earth's rise, silently taking note of the power humanity had just unleashed. They have awakened, a voice echoed in the dark chambers of the Nexus. A council of beings that had existed long before any known civilization. Earth is no longer the weakling we once thought it to be, but now, it is a threat. The Guardians had long been the keepers of the balance in the galaxy. They had seen countless species rise and fall, but humanity was different. Earth's weapon, the one they had wielded in secret for centuries, was something far beyond their understanding. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a force. A force that could change the galaxy itself. The galaxy will fear them. Another voice in the council rumbled, its tone grave. And when the fear grows too strong, when their ambitions turn dark, we will have no choice but to intervene. The Guardians had remained silent for centuries, watching, waiting, never intervening. But with the rise of Earth's power, they knew their time was coming. Humanity was no longer just another species to be ignored. They were becoming something greater. And that was a danger no one in the galaxy could ignore. The emergence of the galaxy's response site didn't take long for Earth's victory to draw the attention of other galactic powers. The peaceful species, who had once seen humanity as naive and harmless, now found themselves questioning their place in the universe. Were they the next target of Earth's newfound strength among the galactic races? A group known as the Conclave of the Stars, an alliance of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, held an emergency summit to discuss the rise of Earth. The room was filled with alien leaders, some humanoid, some not, each with their own agenda and concerns. Humanity has shown us what it's capable of, a representative of the Calrosian race said. His multiple eyes narrowed in thought, and I, for one, do not think this is a moment to celebrate. The galaxy is not a place for pacifists, and Earth has clearly demonstrated it will do whatever it takes to survive. They are no longer the peaceful race we once knew. Another alien leader, a massive insectoid creature, agreed. They are now a force to be reckoned with. They will not follow our rules. They will carve their own path, and we must decide whether to stop them now or wait until they become a threat we cannot control. But not all of the council members agreed. A few voices rose in support of Earth, recognizing that their actions, while brutal, were the result of years of oppression and rejection by the galaxy. Is it not our fault that Earth was forced into this position? One alien said. Her voice calm and measured. We rejected them, we pushed them aside, and now they have come into their own. We must ask ourselves, what will humanity do with its newfound power? And what will we do in response? The council remained divided. But one thing was clear, the galaxy was on the brink of a new chapter. Humanity's actions had changed the game forever, the rising conflict in Earth. The reality of their victory was sinking in. Humanity had shown its strength. But now came the true test. Would Earth be able to maintain its power, or would it fall victim to the forces it had just awakened? We cannot stand by while the galaxy prepares to turn against us, President Harris said, addressing the world in a broadcast to the public. His voice was firm, but there was a flicker of uncertainty. In his eyes, we have made our position clear. We are no longer just peacekeepers. We are protectors of our own. And we will fight to the end for our survival. The tension in the air was palpable. Earth was preparing for whatever came next, but they knew the stakes were higher than ever. The rest of the galaxy was watching, and with the rise of Earth's power, alliances were shifting and old rivals were stirring. Humanity had won the first battle. But the war for survival was just beginning. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now, the consequences of that mistake were about to unfold. Asterisk, the shifting alliance's victory over the alien fleet had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, humanity stood as an undeniable force, one that the galaxy had failed to comprehend until it was too late. Now, as the smoke cleared from the battle, the stakes were higher than ever. The galaxy was no longer a place of simple alliances and peaceful negotiations. Now, it was a volatile powder keg, and Earth was at the center of it all. The leaders of Earth gathered in the newly established United Earth Council. Still reeling from the consequences of their victory, they had expected praise, recognition, or at least acknowledgement of their efforts, but what they received instead was a galaxy in turmoil. We've made our point, President Harris said, his voice steady as he looked around the room. We've shown the galaxy that we're not the peaceful species they thought we were. But now we have a bigger challenge. How do we navigate the new power dynamics that we've created? The room fell silent as the weight of his words hung in the air. Humanity had revealed its strength, but at what cost? The other galactic species were not going to sit idly by as Earth rose to prominence. The question was no longer about whether humanity could survive, it was about whether they could keep their place in the galaxy or whether they would become a target for the galaxy's most powerful races, a diplomatic gambit across the stars. The political landscape was shifting rapidly. The Conclave of Stars, a coalition of the most powerful galactic civilizations, called an emergency summit to address Earth's growing power. With the threat of humanity's weapons still fresh in their minds, the members of the Conclave were divided. Some argued that humanity's strength was a dangerous precedent, while others saw it as an opportunity to align with Earth and avoid conflict. The tension in the council chamber was palpable as the representatives from different species took their seats. Zorith, the leader of the Xan species, stood at the forefront. His race had been humiliated by Earth's unexpected attack, and now he sought to regain control. Humanity's actions are a threat to the stability of the galaxy, Zorith declared, his voice deep and authoritative. They have proven that they are no longer a peaceful species. They will not stop until they dominate. We must act before they become an uncontrollable force. The room buzzed with murmurs, and the mood quickly turned sour. The Xanth were not the only species to fear Earth's newfound strength. The Valerian Collective, a species known for their technological advancements, had also been on the receiving end of Earth's power, and they were not eager to let this new power slide unchecked. Zorith is right, said a Valerian representative, her blue-skinned form radiating with energy. Earth has proven they can challenge us. If we let them grow unchecked, we risk losing everything. But not all the representatives agreed. From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, a new voice entered the conversation, one that had remained silent during the last council meeting. The Arcturians, a peaceful race who had long respected Earth's efforts for diplomacy. Humanity has fought back only because they were pushed to the brink. The Arcturian ambassador said, his voice calm but firm. They are not the aggressors here. The galaxy's own arrogance is to blame. Earth has shown us what it is capable of, but it also holds the potential for great cooperation. The room went silent. The idea that Earth could become an ally rather than a threat was appealing to some, but not everyone was convinced. The galaxy had spent centuries avoiding conflict, and now, faced with a new reality, the idea of trusting humanity was difficult for many. The turning point back on Earth, General Anderson and his team monitored the developments closely. The galaxy was at a crossroads. Diplomacy was the next step. But the stakes were much higher than any negotiation they had ever participated in. Earth was no longer just a peaceful planet, it was a strategic asset. But could Earth use that newfound power to broker peace? Or would they be drawn into an endless war with the galaxy? We have a choice, General Anderson said. Looking out over the map of galactic territory, we can either take a stand and prepare for war with the entire galaxy, or we can try to use our power to forge alliances. But we have to remember one thing: peace will not be handed to us, we will have to fight for it. Every step of the way, Dr. Winters, still cautious of the growing tension, suggested a more diplomatic route. There's a third option, she said. We don't have to choose between total domination and submission. We can show the galaxy that we are strong, but we are also willing to work with others. We can lead with power, but also with purpose. But President Harris, despite his desire for peace, knew the truth. The galaxy may never see us as peaceful again. We've shown our strength, but now we need to prove our resolve as Earth's leadership continued to deliberate. An unexpected development unfolded: a secret faction of alien races, those who had long been marginalized by the Conclave, began to make contact with Earth. These were the species that had been ignored or oppressed by the dominant powers of the galaxy. They saw in Earth's rise the possibility of a new alliance, one that could change the balance of power. We've watched you fight, and we've seen your strength, a representative from the Seraphi species transmitted. We believe humanity's rise is just the beginning. Together, we can form a new coalition, one where power is not just for the few, but for the many. The offer was tempting, and for the first time, humanity was faced with a choice: continue to fight for its place among the stars, or seize the opportunity to forge a new future. The final decision, with the galaxy divided and chaos threatening to erupt, Earth had to decide: would they continue down the path of dominance, or would they take the risk of leading a new coalition of races, one that could reshape the galaxy's future? The decision would not be easy, and the consequences would echo throughout the universe for centuries to come. As President Harris stood before the council, he knew one thing for sure: Earth's rise was not just a victory, it was a warning. And now, it was time for humanity to decide how to use the power they had so long kept hidden. The galaxy will know who we are, President Harris declared, his voice filled with resolve. We will lead with strength, but we will also lead with honor, and if the galaxy cannot accept that, then we will forge our own path. Asterisk: the rise of a new order. The dust had barely settled after Earth's decisive victory over the alien fleet, but already the galaxy was in turmoil. The Conclave of Stars, once a place of diplomatic negotiation, was now a battleground of ideologies. The unexpected rise of humanity's power had sent shockwaves through every corner of the galaxy, and the political landscape was shifting with a speed no one could have predicted. The council that once mocked Earth was now divided. Some of the most powerful species in the galaxy wanted to ally with humanity, recognizing that their strength was something they could no longer ignore. Others, however, saw humanity's rise as a threat too dangerous to allow. The balance of power had changed, and Earth stood at the center, with the galaxy watching to see which path they would choose. We've proven our strength, General Anderson said, looking at the holographic map of the galaxy that flickered in front of him. His tone was serious. Now, we must choose whether to consolidate our power or take the risk of forging new alliances. The galaxy is no longer a place where we can afford to remain neutral. If we don't act, we risk being crushed by the very powers we've just defeated. Dr. Winters, still processing the enormity of their situation, turned toward the map. What if there's another way? She asked, her voice carrying a note of concern. We don't have to fight everyone. We could lead by example, show the galaxy that strength doesn't have to come at the expense of peace. But President Harris, standing off to the side, shook his head slowly. We've tried that before, Dr. Winters. The galaxy won't respect us until we make it clear that we are not just peacekeepers. We're powerful, we're capable, and we're not going to let anyone push us around again. The room fell silent as the weight of the decision hung in the air. Humanity had the power now, more power than anyone had ever imagined. The weapon they had used to destroy the alien fleet was only the beginning. Earth had more hidden forces, more technologies that had been kept secret for generations, and they were now ready to be unleashed. But with this power came a terrifying question: how far would humanity go to protect itself? The hidden revelation as Earth prepared to take its place among the stars. A revelation came from an unexpected source: an ancient race known as the Sakara, a peaceful species that had long lived in the shadows of galactic history. For centuries, the Sakara had watched the rise and fall of civilizations, staying out of conflicts, never intervening. But now, as humanity's power grew, the Sakara reached out with a warning. You do not understand what you have awakened. the Sakara representative said in a rare communication sent to Earth's leadership. The weapon you have used, the energy you've tapped into it is part of something much darker. A force that has been dormant for eons, waiting for the right moment to return. The power you wield now is not just your own. The message sent shockwaves through the command center. The Sakara's words seemed too cryptic to be fully understood. But the underlying implication was clear. The power humanity had unleashed was not something that could be controlled. It was tied to an ancient, malevolent force that had the potential to destroy the galaxy itself. What do they mean by a force that has been dormant for eons? Dr. Winters asked, her voice filled with unease. President Harris looked deeply troubled. We need answers. If what they're saying is true, then we're dealing with something much bigger than we ever realized. As the Sakara's warning echoed in their minds, humanity had a choice to make. Would they continue down the path of power and dominance? Or would they seek to uncover the true nature of the force they had unknowingly unleashed? The Galactic Responsius Earth's leadership debated their next steps. The response from the galaxy was swift and brutal. The conclave of stars, now split between factions of those who wanted to ally with humanity and those who sought to neutralize them, made their first major move. A covert alliance of powerful races, including the Xanth and the Valerian, began to prepare for an all-out assault on Earth. Their reasoning was simple. Earth's rise could not be allowed to continue unchecked. The galaxy had operated for millennia under a delicate balance of power, and humanity's rapid ascension threatened that balance. If they allowed Earth to grow stronger, it would only be a matter of time before humanity claimed control over the galaxy. We cannot let them dominate, Zorith, the Xanth leader, growled in a private meeting with the Valerian and other races, who shared his concerns. Earth has shown that it can defeat us. We cannot risk them becoming more powerful. The galaxy will never bow to them. The Valerian representative agreed. They must be stopped before it's too late. But even as the anti-Earth faction prepared for war, there was an unexpected shift. A new force began to emerge, one that no one had seen coming. The Sakara, who had remained hidden for so long, revealed that they had been watching the rise of Earth with growing interest. They too had been trying to contain the ancient power that humanity had unknowingly unleashed. The Sakara's true nature became clear. They were the last line of defense against a force that, if unleashed, could consume the galaxy in darkness. The race against time was running out. As Earth's leaders worked frantically to uncover the full scope of the power they had awakened, the galaxy's most powerful forces began to move against them. The conclave of stars had decided Earth was too dangerous to exist unchallenged. The decision to fight had already been made. We must act now, General Anderson said, his voice strained with urgency. We have no choice but to face them head-on. We've proven we can defeat them. But we need to show the galaxy that we are not the enemy, we are the future. But Dr. Winters, more cautious than ever, looked at the information from the Sakara and the growing political tensions. We don't understand everything yet. The Sakara are right. We've awakened something far darker. If we don't stop it, the consequences could be more than we can handle. The decision that would define humanity's future was at hand. Would Earth rise to become the dominant force in the galaxy? Or would it face the wrath of those who feared it? The brink of destruction. The galaxy was at war, though not in the way Earth had imagined. The great powers of the universe, each with their own interests, were now turning their attention toward one planet, Earth. For the first time in history, humanity stood on the precipice of not just survival but domination. Yet, the power that had lifted them to this point was also the very thing that could destroy them. The Sakara's warning echoed in President Harris's mind. The force you have awakened is not something you can control. It has the power to consume everything. The weight of those words bore down on him as he sat in the war room, surrounded by his most trusted advisors. The situation had become critical. Earth had been thrust into the center of a galactic struggle, and the stakes were higher than ever. General Anderson was pacing the floor, his face tense. We're fighting a war on two fronts. The galaxy wants to destroy us. And now we have this force, this ancient power that we don't fully understand. If we don't find a way to contain it, we could all be wiped out. Dr. Winters, who had spent countless hours studying the Sakara's warning, nodded in agreement. The galaxy is already gathering its forces, the Valerian, the Xanth, even the Conclave. It doesn't matter what side they're on. They all want the same thing, Earth's destruction. But if they come for us, we need to be ready. And we need to figure out what the Sakara were really trying to tell us. President Harris looked out the large glass window, the blue sky of Earth stark against the dark backdrop of space. We've fought for so long to prove we can maintain peace, but it seems like the galaxy won't let us. We've shown them our power, and now they want to destroy us for it. They see us as a threat. The tension in the room was palpable. Earth had been forced into a corner. But the more they learned about the ancient power they had awakened, the less they understood how to control it. If humanity was going to survive, they would have to make a choice, embrace their power fully and risk losing control, or give it up and face the galaxy's wrath, the unseen enemy far from Earth, beyond the edge of known space. The Sakara continued their secretive work. Their ancient knowledge, accumulated over millennia, pointed to a truth that had been hidden even from them. The force humanity had awakened was far older and far more dangerous than any of them realized. In the deepest corners of the Sakara archives, a forgotten prophecy lay dormant, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered. It spoke of a time when a young species would rise, and in its moment of triumph, it would unlock a force capable of reshaping the very fabric of the galaxy. The time has come, the Sakara leader whispered, his voice filled with sorrow. The humans are the key. They have unlocked the Nexus, but they are not ready to wield its power. The Sakara had long been protectors of the galaxy, ensuring that no single species would rise to absolute dominance. The Nexus, the force humanity had unleashed, was their ultimate weapon, a power so vast that it could bend time, space, and even reality itself. And now, Earth had discovered it, unknowingly pulling the galaxy into chaos. We must intervene, the Sakara leader continued. If humanity continues down this path, they will destroy not only themselves, but the balance of the galaxy. We must stop them before it is too late. The price of power back on Earth. President Harris and General Anderson watched as the galaxy's ships gathered at the edge of their space. The conclave had mobilized, with fleets of warships preparing for the final assault on Earth. The galaxy's leaders, fearing the unchecked power of humanity, had decided that the only solution was to destroy Earth before its power could grow beyond control. They're coming for us, General Anderson said, his voice grim. This is the last stand. Earth's survival depends on us holding our ground. Dr. Winters, looking through the data from the Sakara, turned to face the room. I've been studying their warnings. There's something they didn't tell us. The Nexus, it's not just power, it's a force of balance. Whoever controls it can reshape everything. And that's why the Sakara want to stop us. They're afraid we might tip the scale. So they've been controlling everything all along. Lucas, a young officer who had joined the team recently, asked in disbelief. The Sakara, the conclave, they've kept us from knowing the truth, not just kept us from knowing. Dr. Winters replied, her voice shaking with realization. They've kept us weak. We've never been allowed to unlock the full potential of humanity. And now that we've done it, they're terrified. The decision as the alien fleets prepared to make their move, President Harris stood alone at the window once again. He knew that Earth was facing its most difficult challenge. The galaxy was at war with them, and the threat of complete destruction loomed large. But as humanity stood at the crossroads, a realization began to form in his mind. We've always been a species that's been afraid of its own power, Harris whispered to himself. But maybe it's time to stop being afraid. Maybe it's time to fight with everything we've got. He turned back to his team, determination in his eyes. We have one shot at this. We fight for our survival, we fight for our future, and we fight to make sure that no one ever underestimates humanity again. The final countdown as Earth's forces readied themselves for the inevitable war. The galaxy watched in silence. Earth's power was undeniable now. But what would humanity do with it? Would they use it to dominate and control, or would they find a way to bring balance to the galaxy as the Sakara feared? With the fate of Earth and the galaxy hanging in the balance, the time had come for humanity to make the most critical decision of its history. And as the alien fleets approached, Earth's true nature was about to be revealed to the entire galaxy.